Followers of this hobby could be described as receivers of stolen property.
For this hobby you need to have shoulder-length veil and elbow-length gloves.
Prince Charles, Princess Anne, Sting and Pam Ayres are all keen followers of this hobby.
With this hobby you employ 60 or 70,000 workers without any problems. How about that?
Hello, my name's Alison Mouser and my postmodern pastime is beekeeping. I'm 29 and I live in Effingham in Surrey. At the moment I've got 5 colonies which I keep on a nearby allotment.
There are 25,000 beekeepers approximately in the UK at this time.
I've no idea how I got interested in bees. I know I always have been and I've always fancied keeping them, but I don't know why. I saw there was a talk about beekeeping going on, so I went along. Got involved with John Hamer, who's my teacher, and started going to his classes, and I've been going to him for classes for 2 years now, and he's a fantastic teacher and good fun. It makes beekeeping good fun. And so I started off by getting a swarm, which I got from somebody in the village's apple tree, about 12 foot up.
We got the call, here is a swarm that needs to be collected from somebody's garden. Along we went. And I discovered that my job as the beekeeper's boy was to stand underneath the swarm whilst Alison banged at the tree with a stick and caused the whole swarm to fall on my head, which I can assure you as a raw beekeeper's boy is not the most comfortable experience. But fortunately, bees in a swarm don't sting, or at least they didn't sting me, and we collected that swarm successfully, and that was the first hive we got.
Beekeeping is relatively inexpensive to start, and most bee appliance manufacturers have kits for beginners which, depending on how complete they are, cost various amounts. But you could start beekeeping, I suspect, for about £200 or £300.
It does feel when you start there's an awful lot to learn.
Really, any pure or F1 queen you buy, you'll probably get 2 generations out of her.
But it does sink in, and you don't have to know all of it by any means. I think I'm definitely the youngest one. I haven't met anybody younger than me. I'd say the majority of beekeepers are retired or heading that way.
Well, I think the main attraction really is the pleasure of handling and appreciating what a fantastic organisation the bees have.
Fascinating hobby which keeps you in touch with nature and the seasons.
I took it up originally because it was something completely different to the work that I was doing, so I was working up in the city.
Its costs are low, interest high.
You have to be calm when you handle the bees and not dither around too much, be deliberate in your actions, but not rough, and if you treat them nicely, generally speaking, they treat you nicely as well.
Beekeeping isn't dangerous. People may think it is because bees do sting, but most beekeepers live to a ripe old age, so it could be said to be good for you.
When you're first starting out with bees, to give yourself confidence, it's best to wear protective clothing. A lot of people don't when they get more advanced, but until you know what you're doing and you're sure of the way you're handling bees, don't let yourself worry about being stung. Wear the clothing. I feel totally silly when I've got all the gear on. You look like the Michelin Man crossed with a spaceman. You do not look elegant in your bee gear. It's all white, which is not slimming. So you look huge. You look bizarre. We're on my allotment in Effingham. It's a good situation for keeping bees because it borders farmland and gardens, so I get a nice mix of available pollen and nectar. There's a lot of raspberry blossom, runner bean, broad bean. Early in the season you've got all the fruit trees coming out. So it's a good situation to keep bees. And the other allotment holders don't mind because in return for a couple of stings they get bumper crops of vegetables and fruit.
This year it seems about everybody's getting beans. Everybody's getting twice as many beans. And it must be down to the bees.
What we're going to do is get some honey out of the hive, take it home and extract it, bottle it up and take it to the delicatessen for it to sell. First of all, what you have to do is smoke the bees. Normally genuine smoke is used, but I'm using a new alternative which is liquid smoke. The idea is for the bees to think that there's a fire, so they concentrate on filling themselves up with honey to escape from the fire. When they're full of honey they're less likely to sting and they're more docile. So we have to give it a couple of minutes for the message of the smoke to be taken into the hive so everyone's filling up with honey.
From bees you get honey, wax and a substance called propolis, and from those things you can make innumerable things.
There we go. Where it's sealed, this is honey under here. Where it's unsealed you can just see the liquid inside there. That's still at the nectar stage. It hasn't been concentrated down enough to be turned into honey yet. They put the nectar in there and then they literally stand and flap their wings over the top to concentrate it down. The painted blue there is the queen.
The amount of flying required by bees to produce 1 pound of honey adds up to 75,000 miles. That is 3 times round the world for 1 pound of honey.
For me, the purpose of keeping bees isn't just for the love of watching them, but for the honey they produce and all the other products that they produce. Candles, face creams, hand creams, soaps, that type of thing. This is the honeycomb. We'll take the cappings off the honey to get at it. Put your knife in boiling water and simply slide it down very gently and carefully and exposing the honey. This is a honey extractor. It works on a centrifugal force and literally spins the honey to the outside of the can where it drains down and is strained before putting into jars. Label on, telling people where it comes from. And that is all the processing that honey gets.
Being the spouse of a bee farmer is quite difficult.
Honey is delicious but sticky. It tends to travel very easily and spreads everywhere, so you have to make your peace with your wife and be very careful in the kitchen and clean up afterwards.
Everything was sticky. You go to the telephone and your hand sticks to the telephone, but it doesn't have to be like that. I just happen to have an untidy husband.
Most beekeepers produce honey and sell a little of it to defray some of their expenses, and they're selling the product that they get directly from the bees without any interference apart from filtering it.
At the moment, the place that's stocking it, the only place that's stocking it, is a small delicatessen in the next village, and they are doing stormingly well for me. I cannot produce enough for them. It's going wonderfully. I took £10 down to them and they phoned up an hour and a half later and said, "Have you got any more? We're virtually out." We're both really pleased with the way that's going. Suits both of us really well. Hi, new supplies.
Lovely.
Some cut comb and some runny honey in jars.
Thank you.
Okay, and some more to come in the next couple of days.
Right.
Right, so
Thank
I'll
you.
bring you an invoice when I bring the rest.
Excellent.
Okay. I'd always wanted more than one hive, right from my very first couple of lessons. We didn't think it was going to take off quite like this. It's all just happened. It just seems that my life has been completely taken over by bees. Not according to plan, but it's lovely. Absolutely lovely.